In today's show, you're going to learn how to use the PowerApps Patch function with your SharePoint list. And even if you already know how to use Patch, we're going to do it in the context of customizing a gallery, so hopefully everyone can learn a few tips and tricks along the way. But first, here's our intro. Hi, my name is Shane Young with PowerApps 911. Those guys. And today's show, we're going to look at the Patch function. So there's been a bunch of questions recently in the forums and stuff about how to use Patch with SharePoint List. So I thought we would just dive in and take a look at it. And in order to make it a little more fun, a little more contextual, we're going to show you kind of how I use it. We're going to take a gallery and we're going to completely customize that gallery so that we're using Patch right there inside the gallery instead of jumping off to edit forms and things like that. Teach you a couple neat little tricks, right? So we'll look at how to patch an existing SharePoint list item, we'll look at how to create one, and at the end we'll even talk about some of the yucky things about using Patch. Sound like fun? I thought so. So let's just jump right in. All right, so we'll switch over here to my desktop, and on my desktop we'll click on my browser. And so here we'll demo kind of what we're going to do, and then we'll build this whole thing from scratch. So this is a SharePoint list, right? So just over here I got a simple SharePoint list with title, first name, last name, favorite color is a choice column, and then department is a text column as well, right? So I put a gallery on the screen, but what we want to do here with our gallery is actually edit the things in place, because a lot of the custom solutions that I build, we actually end up doing this. We end up manipulating data at the gallery level instead of always just jumping off to a different screen like some of those getting started apps. So I thought we kind of start to lay the foundation of understanding how that worked. So as we start to build more complex solutions, we have these base videos, all right? And so what you can see I did here is if I click the edit button, a bunch of things are going to happen when I click it, so watch. Notice my edit button turned into a cancel button. But also my fields are here. So favorite color is now my dropdown, right? I brought that over here. And my title is CEO, so we can change it, right? So Nicola's favorite color is actually green, and her title is CEO, not CEO2. And so then now if I click save, you'll see the little dots go across. And so then over here, if we refresh the browser, you can see that she's now CEO and her favorite color is green. Pretty cool, right? If we hit edit, we get the cancel again. And if we hit cancel, nothing happens. What's even more important is if you hit edit and you're like in here, is it red? I don't remember. Let's go ask her. If you hit cancel, watch what happens to favorite color. It gets reset back to green. So we're going to look at all those little nuances, right? There's nothing really complicated there, but we just strung a bunch of little things together to make this work. And then we're also going to talk through the save button and talk about how Patch works and how I'm writing back to just those columns without messing up the rest of my SharePoint list. Fun, fun, fun. All right, so let's X out of this. All right, so back here over at the editor, and I'll actually tell you a little secret. I went and ate dinner, so it's been like an hour since I actually was recording this, but shh, don't tell anybody. Anyway, back here in the editor, let's take a look at how I've built that. But instead of by breaking all this down, what I want to do is I actually want to walk you through building this. So we're going to build it all from scratch. So we will collapse these two screens and we'll do a new screen. And this is pretty typical with my playing or learning apps, right? I just pile on some screens. There's no reason to spin up a whole new app. There's nothing unique about a new blank app versus just jumping on a blank screen 3. But first step is let's get a gallery and do a vertical. And so here for data sources, we're going to choose employees. Now, once again, this is just browsing for a SharePoint list. I didn't think you needed to see that. So there you go. And then for the design, it really doesn't matter what you do here. I'm going to get away from this image title and subtitle because it's more stuff to delete. And so we'll just do a simple title one. All right. And for our title, we'll put in our friend, the first name. I also want you to take a second to notice here that favorite color is not listed, and that's because it's a complex field type, right? Lookup fields wouldn't show up, choice fields in this example don't show up, so if you're not seeing it, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't use it, it just means you can't pick it from a dropdown. So we'll figure that out in just a second. So first name, all right, we'll get rid of that. Let's grab our gallery, let's make it the whole screen. Let's get rid of this little pesky arrow because we don't need it as part of our solution. And then let's take one of our gallery cards and let's make them bigger so we have more room, right? We'll take Nicola, we're going to slide her up here. And so first thing we'll do is, like we did in the other one, we'll do an and just like this. And then this item dot last name. And so that gets us the nice little title at the top. We're not going to mess with editing that field. We could. We're just not going to mess with it. And so then now we're going to stick another label in here. And I'm going to put it right here. And what are we going to do? I don't want compliance asset ID. I don't even know what that is still. I should figure that out one day. But what we're going to do is we're going to type in right here, we want favorite color. Maybe we'll spell it like my Brits. There we go. Favorite color. All right. So we're going to do just like that. So favorite color. And then beside here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a control. I'm going to do a drop down. I'm going to bring our friend, boom, right there. And so this is going to be where we do our choices of the different colors, right? And if we look over here and go to list settings, and then we go to favorite color, we'll see that favorite color is a choice field, right? Choice, and here are the different choices. And the default value is red. That'll be important later, but not right now. But just important to know that we have all these things here. So let's cancel out of this. Let's go back over here. And so for our drop down, what you can do is you can take advantage of the choices function. And so you do choices, and then you're going to do employees dot favorite color. And so PowerApps is actually smart enough. Sometimes you can see the dots there. They go across the top of the screen. Boom. So now in our drop down, we have the same red, blue, yellow, orange. Yep, looks good. If you've watched my other videos, you know, normally I would then take this and rearrange it, sort it by that column. We'll skip all that for today. Okay, so there's our first one. Let's insert another label. We'll drag this one right here. And for this one, we'll call it title. Oh, we'll do our little colon, like so. I don't really need the space here, but I put it there out of habit. And then finally, we want to do a text input. And so for this text input, like so, we'll make it a little bigger. There we go. And the default value here, though, right, we want to have it be what their actual title is. So their default to be that. Which reminds me, I forgot with this particular dropdown. Let's go back up here. So we set the items, but we didn't set our default to be what? It's not 1, definitely not 1. We want that to be this item, favorite color. And then what you have to do is you do .value. So once again, dropdowns a little more complex. So you always have to kind of look at them a little harder and figure out why is it mad. Well, in this case, it wanted me to put in value. All right, so that gets us all that. So if we hit play, we can see that if we went and compare, these are the favorite colors and title of all these people, right? I can scroll down the screen. But if I change this to red, nothing's happening right now, right? We need to have a way to write this back if we do change it. And so to do that, right, we're going to come over here. We're going to add a button. And we'll put this button, I think it was right here in the video. And we're going to call this save. And so the save button, what we're going to do there is we're going to study our first patch. And so patch is a special function that can be used to either update a single record or to write a new record at the end. Typically, I don't use patch to write new records. I usually use collect, but best I can tell, they're almost interchangeable for writing new records. But what's fun about patch is I can say, hey, go find a specific record. So go look in the employees data source. Find what record? Well, this is the nice thing about doing this in a gallery. I want you to find this item. Find the item that we're currently on. And then what do I want you to update? And this is going to be that weird little curly brace. And we're going to say, I want you to update. I want you to set title, and then we're going to use the colon for the equal sign. And I want to set title to be this text input 3. Now, right, good idea here would be to be like, hey, this is input title. Right, so that makes a little more sense. And then we'll do our drop down. We'll say drop down FC for favorite color. Right, something like that. Right, you should always be updating all these if you're building a real app. When you're demoing stuff like I am, not as important, but I'll show you the right way. All right, so then title is going to be what? Input title dot text. So we're going to take whatever they put in the title field and write it back. Got it. And then for favorite color, what are we going to do there? We're going to say, all right, favorite color, you are that drop down we just did. So drop down FC. Oh, and then we're going to do dot selected. We will close our squirrely braces. We'll close that. Boom. So now if we hit play and we change Nicola's favorite color from green to purple and hit save, our patch function is going and finding that record and then updating just those two fields. All right, so if we go back here to employees now, you can see that her favorite color is purple, but we didn't mess with IT or name or any of those things. We just updated a single record, right? That's the significance of patch, is you apply a patch to just one record most of the time. You just want to go fix this one little thing. Patch is your way of doing that. And I'm seeing people, especially in the forums, use it in all different types of creative ways. So don't feel like this is the way to do it, right? Some people are doing it instead of using forms. They're building their own forms. Some people are doing patches based on a bunch of data and not input. They're just calculating things. Whatever it might be, just feel free to do what you want, but patch is the key. So, all right, so back over here, and if we look at, right, so that's what we did. So we patched the employees list with this item, so that's how we decided whether it was Nicola's record or Greg's record, and then we set title to be whatever was in this field, and color to be what was ever in this field. Kind of cool, all right? So let's take that, let's go a step further with that, and then after we get done kind of customizing this a bit, then we'll go back to patch and we'll look at how you do some other things with patch. That's what I got hidden over here on screen too, a little extra learning about patch, right? So what I wanted on here is we're gonna add another button. And and I keep using buttons, and I use buttons because they're easy for you guys, to kind of see and do. If I was really making this app, I'd probably insert an icon, right? Because you can take an icon, we could take this edit icon and we could associate an on select action with it, just the same as we do with this ugly button. But I thought a button was easier to learn here. And so we're going to change this button to be edit. And so now we're going to do all that magic. Remember all the magic before, right? When we were over here. And so, it's like this, and you hit edit, and then all of a sudden you get all these options. So let's make that magic over here. So what we need to do is, first off, we're going to say on select. What do we want to do? We want to update context. So we're going to create a context variable, right? A temporary variable. It's just for this screen. And we'll call this, I don't know, let's call it let's edit. Oh, but I forgot my squiggly braces. So squiggly braces, let's edit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this variable to true and then close it out like that. So the reason I like to use actual true and actual false is because what we're going to do is we're going to be able to trigger some different actions based on a true and false without having to evaluate if it says yes or no, right? So if you make it yes or no, then you have to add an extra if statement to say if this, then that. So for example, now that we have update context, let's edit is true, we go here to our save button and we can say, you know what, save? I only want you to be visible. Right now you're always visible, but instead let's make you only visible when let's edit. Right? So, and by default, when the screen loads, let's edit will be false. So my save button is not here. They can't save anything without invoking edit mode. The same thing here. It's a little weird to people when they're browsing data that they have drop-downs and stuff, right? I don't want them to change data when they have drop-downs. So I'm going to go over here to my favorite color drop-down, and I'm going to change his display mode. Or maybe it's her display mode. Who knows? Never really thought about it. But so right now in display mode, it's edit. Well, that's not what I want. What I want is I want to say if, let's edit. I couldn't remember when I made the variable name. It's probably a bad variable name if I couldn't remember it. So if let's edit, so right, if that's true, what do we want to do if that's true? If that is true, then we want to set the display mode to edit. We'll do a comma. If it's false, then we want to set our display mode to view. We'll close this like that. So look at what happens there. Now purple is on the screen, but it's not, it doesn't have the little drop down thing. It doesn't look like an editable box because right now it's not. Ready for super trick? So I'm going to do the same exact thing for CEO, but I don't want to write all that down again, especially if I'm going to make updates later. So we're going to go to this field and we're going to set its display mode, not to edit, not to that weird formula I just did. I am going to set it to be dropdown FC.display mode. Oh, look at this. You see what happened there? CEO is no longer editable. So if I click edit here, oh, they both light up at the same time. So that's one of those neat little tricks, right? You can reference sometimes the function from one, or the property of one, on a different one. So then that way you just update it in one place and then it cascades throughout your app. That's a pretty cool trick. Hope you like it. Maybe you're like, oh, Shane, you're dumb. Maybe you are. I don't know. I love that trick. Okay, so now one of the downsides though right now is my button just says edit, right? So let's fix that because I don't want it just to say edit. What I want it to do is I want it to say if, oh, not if display mode, if let's edit. Right, so if let's edit is true, then this button should say cancel. If it's false, it should say edit. Boom, like so. So then that way I'm always getting it, having the button be more contextual. But now we need to go fix our on select statement, right? What if they click on this button and it's already in edit mode, right? I want them to be able to cancel. So instead of saying update context, let's edit is true, what I'm going to say is let's edit equals, use the exclamation point, which means not, or the opposite of let's edit. So that's how you create this toggle effect, right? If I click, the first time I click it, it's going to set it to true. If I click the button again, it's going to set it to false. And it's just going to go in this back and forth mode without a lot of fanciness, right? I'm just saying, take the variable, make it the opposite. Another advantage of making it that Boolean true false, because there's an opposite bit. So if we hit play now, we hit edit, oh, there's our thing. We hit cancel, edit, cancel. Look at this, I can just go back and forth all night long. Woohoo! All right. So let's change that. And so I think that takes care of our edit button behaving the way we want. Actually, let's hit play. Let's do edit again so I can see my save button. So let's look at save now. So save, we're going to get a little more complicated. His on select. So that's what he does. He patches. So if you can see him, he saves. But after he finishes that, well, good point here. What do I want to do? I need to update context. Let's edit, and I'm going to set it to false. Right? I don't want to do the whole opposite thing here. Anytime you save, after we write back our data, I want to set it back to save and undo everything, right? So that's how we're going to do that. And so now, right, if we can hit play, we can cancel, we say edit, let's change her color to red, let's change CEO to CEO2, and so if we hit save, we'll see the dots, There you go, the screen reloaded, everything reset. And if we go back over here and do a refresh, we should see CEO2 and red. All right. One more trick we want to put in play there before we look at the more advanced stuff with Patch. So the other issue though with my thing, let's go back in here, edit. So if I change this to purple and I'm like, wait a minute, maybe it was actually, I don't remember. So I hit cancel, this stayed purple, okay? That's not good. So what I want you to do is I want you to go in here back to our on select and I want to say, all right, update context. So we should set it to the opposites. And then what I want to also do though, is I want to reset drop down FC. Okay, so what that'll do, let's try it out. So we say play, we do edit. Oh, so we're red, maybe she's wants to be green. I don't remember. We hit cancel, it sets that back to red. So those are the little nuances that you have to think about with your app. What are all of those weird scenarios? You know, if you got a QA department, they love to think about those things. What if someone's halfway does it and then gets out? What's the state going to be? So you just kind of have to design for those and say, what weird things can my users do? And then how can I sneak in little resets or little changes to fix those and undo that, right? Okay, so that makes our pretty cool little app, right? A little single screen. And this shows you kind of, I mean, literally this is how we end up building a lot of solutions. We end up with just these galleries that we end up doing editing on the gallery because it's just easier to do it in line. One person the other day on the comments asked me about how to do a star rating, which I'm going to have in my notes to do a whole video on. But we did the same thing with him. We put a star rating control in here. And he's like, I can click on it, but nothing happens. Well, that's because he was missing the whole save, which would have done a patch to push back his stuff into the gallery or into the SharePoint list from the gallery, right? So let's go over here to screen 2 and let's look at a couple more complex, maybe a complex. So this top button, This is a, it gets real ugly real fast, okay? So one of the things I wanted to show here was how would you patch a new record, right? So if you wanted to add a new item, you want to give them a new button and you want to use patch for it. Now, typically I would use collect, but we can do it with patch. It's 100%, it's the way it's supposed to do as well, so no big deal. But in the patch, what we're going to do, so we say patch employees, right? So that's the SharePoint list we want to write. Then you have to incorporate this line, right? Because we don't have a record to select. So we have to say defaults employees. Go get the defaults values from that list so we can patch those back as well. This is an important step if you want to write a new record. I always forget about it. I always mess it up, but this is what you use. So defaults employees, and that will kind of set the table for you then to write a new record. And so in this new record, I'm going to say title is VP, right? So title equals in this text VP, no problem. First name is button. Here, we'll change first name to video because that's what we're doing now. And then I did another comma. And so then we had a favorite color, okay? Favorite color, as I mentioned earlier, is a complex list type. In this case, it's a choice. Well, unfortunately with a choice field, you can't just write the data back. I've tried every simple trick in the book. I couldn't come up with a clean, easy way to do it. So browsing the old forums, and this is what it comes down to. This is also the same thing if you're trying to write back a lookup column. But what you have to do is you have to use this OData type, easy for me to say, and you say Microsoft Azure Connector SharePoint SP List Expanded Reference. Yeah, use that text. Don't overthink it. ID, right? So what, with a choice field, there's only one ID, and it's, there's only one record, so it's not really a big deal. And then in this case, I'm going to write back the value of orange, right? And I close out my braces, which is closing out this brace right here, and I close this out, which is closing out the pass function. So this is one of those reasons if you do your edits in a form and you just say submit form, it handles that OData type for you thing, right? But if you're doing it with a patch, then you're going to have to do that. And that's going to be with several different column types. Choice comes to mind, lookup fields come to mind. And the syntax can be a little bit different, right? With a lookup column, for example, this ID is more important. Here, we don't care. So if we take this, so I think that works. We'll scroll this back up here. We'll hit play, and we'll hit button. Cross our fingers. We'll go over here, we'll do a refresh. And so here you can see VP, favorite color is orange, and this is video, right? This is the one we just wrote. So this was how I wrote a SharePoint record in. Other thing to keep in mind when you're doing patch, whether it's in these scenarios where you're doing a new one, if you have a required column, which most of the time title is required, right? That first column. If you have a required column, then you're going to have to do, make sure you write that required column, or you get some weird errors that will not make any sense. So just remember that in the back of your mind. If you're going to patch a single item like that, you need to get all the required columns going in your patch, right? So that was one thing I wanted to show you. Let's close this. So what's on this other button? So this other button, I mentioned it earlier, but this is the other way that I find myself writing SharePoint records, right? And collect, I probably should do a whole video on it. There's a lot of different uses of it. In this case, we're saying collect employees, and then when I just give it a column, so the title column and collected, then it's just going to write that one column into the data for me, but it's going to create a new record. So collect can be used to write a new record, right? And we could have other fields here. So we could say, comma, first name, and then we'd say Bob, right? And so if we do that, we hit play, go over here and do a refresh. And so you can see collected Bob. And because the default value for that dropdown is favorite color, red got set automatically. It's one of the reasons your choice fields probably shouldn't have dropdowns. Your choice fields shouldn't have default data because you don't want scenarios like this where you're accidentally writing values that you didn't mean to write. Okay? So I just want to kind of show you that quickly because that's another way to write a single record. But if you want to do this, this chaos, then yep, you'd grab this same exact chaos again. Oh, highlight that, Control C. I like to right click and copy. Click on button, and so I come over here. I'd do a comma, I'd hit Shift Enter, right? That's what makes a new line. We'll drag this down again, we'll do Shift Enter a couple more times, and then now we'll paste that in, and then we'll get rid of, looks like I have an extra field here. All right, so then like that, we will make this, instead of Bob, we'll make this Larry, and we will scroll up here. We will be very brave because I did not test this before offering it on video, so we'll hit the button. Something happened. Let's go over here. Let's do a refresh. So we collected Larry and Orange. Woohoo! So collect patch, same issue as far as overcoming it, but I don't know. So hopefully that gets you guys what you were looking for here. The video got a little bit longer than I wanted, but hopefully you enjoyed either learning about patch, right? Because it is something people keep asking about, or you enjoyed the little tricks like the, making the edit and cancel button be the same button and kind of thinking through all that. Or maybe you're like, man, why did I watch this video? Anyway, feel free to leave me comments down below. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. What do you want to see me cover next? I've got like 22 items on my list here. Most of them are suggestions from people like you, either in the comments or people making suggestions over in the PowerApps forums. So either place is a great place to reach out to me, and always happy to help. So thanks and have a great day. Hey, it's me again. If you got a second, click the subscribe button. That always keeps me making more videos. Or if you want to work together, need some help getting your Power Apps going, hit me up at PowerApps 911. Always happy to work together. Or finally, if you're really just looking for more videos, that's probably what it is. Check out the Power Apps playlist over here and enjoy that. All right, thanks and have a great day.